Hello everybody, it's your Wonderful Wind Maid, your Cruz Ship Servant, Chartreuse Proxy, ever and always at your service. It is the May 9th Micropatch. As always, I am doing my blind reactions to it, so let's see what OS and Odie has cooked up for us this time around. Welcome strikers to the patch notes of May 9th, whatever. Please remain seated and keep all arms and legs inside the right as we take you on an exciting journey of map rotation, strike adjustments, awakening changes in the turn of orbs. Hello, my favorite trait, my favorite Exodia build is coming back, finally? Alright, well, let's just go back. Asher, Strike's cooldown is being brought back to match Twitch strikes now that the global cooldown is gone. Also adding some strength to her breakthrough to kill people. Breakthrough has, more strike reduction on her side of the field, knockback is being increased to players and to the core. Fair enough. I feel like I only really see Asher on Tycho and Gates, but she very much so does excel with being able to bully people out of the corners, and being able to push that agenda a little bit more, or on the goalie side, being able to push back against force strikers, does have its merits considering how size, and I still very much so feel it's a size meta, more than speed, or rather than more of the win conditions. It's size and damage, with there being 5 size traits, and therefore, prominent characters like Etz and Julie are being able to get a lot more easier hard forces, rather than Asher, who has to take a little bit of time to set up her ultimate, and then really push her agenda off there, not counting the obvious dash punches, or dash beams, that can get kills. So, allowing her to make her way a little bit more into the meta, at least from what I've been seeing so far, is pretty good. I haven't seen her as much as I would think. Besides, obvious mains. Atlas has struggled finding his sure ground this year, so now he peers ahead to make his path clear. That's Iambit Pentameter. I just really wanted to do that. But for real, Atlas hasn't been doing great in Season 3 so far, so I didn't project a little farther into the future. Astral Projection, a little bit more power, a little bit more knockback, a little bit more lifetime and range. Ooh, interesting. I do like this because I feel like when it comes to if you're looking for a creation striker / creation goalie, Dubu has greatly outpaced Atlas, so much so. Not even counting the fact that both of them are bigger, slower working juggernauts, but the fact that we also Dubu's creations being able to sustain and stop the hard forces a lot more rather than Atlas, who has to who's a little bit closer range. You have to astral project, you have to celestial intervention when they are coming right to you, like an Etz jumping the core of Juliet, rather than Dubu, who can just put his roll out, put his Tofu Fortress and just shut it down completely. There's definitely a value gap, not even counting celestial intervention only being, 1 revive at most or so. I do think this can positively push Atlas back a little bit more in. This switch can be annoying in some cases because of the beam, you know what I mean? So it's getting a swap to lower its strength. Enemy slow being less, enemy shrink being less, cooldown increased for Bewitching Beam. They really addressed the ally hit with Bewitching Beam to making it static power instead of percentage power. So I'm fine. So there's no real big notes about this. The fact that Era has a unique niche that has always prevailed, with her ability being able to do 3 things of damage an enemy, slow them down, and immediately impact their size. Because you can slow people with a myriad of abilities, but you cannot manipulate their size with anybody else but Era, means that she's always been able to have a unique role in. Usually, if you are dueling with somebody for Strike Wars, or just trying to get something out of the corner or so, if you're looking to stun them with like a pendulum swing, a punch, or anything like that, you can buffer out their ability and just cancel their input. But Era, not only does the size, not only can she hit you, you might still get your ability cost out, but because you're smaller, your pendulum swing might not only miss, but you wasted that too. Your dash punch might not go as far as you'd like, so now you've wasted those cooldowns, and you're even smaller and even more out of position. So, I think it's a good change for them addressing this, considering especially with how the map pool is right now. Era can excel in basically almost every circumstance, but she works super well with the increased size, being able to either prop up that advantage of her teammates, so make a really big edge from all 5 size traits even bigger, or to exaggerate the speed traits going on right now. And it just makes it hard to deal with her, especially if she just beams and then just runs past you, to where Right, alright, well, I was the Mark War. So, fair enough change. Did I think it was oppressive? I don't think necessarily to the point of nerfing, but either way, I think this is still a fine change overall. Juno. Juno's developed a taste for human blood and must kill. So hope we do so we don't have the bug where Stinger did 90% of enemy max HP in one of our playtests. Well, we already had wacky Juno stuff in the start of Season 3, but just a little bit more power to her stuff. I say a little bit, that's 15 to Friendfling overall. Interesting. I mean, I don't think Juno necessarily needed the health, but she did get pushed around a little bit with some of the other creation strikers a little bit. Guys, small adjustment from the Divergent base stats, so stop Ty from really outcrossing other forwards. Base stature being decreased by 50, but stature growth tier reduced from 425 to 250. Ooh. I like this change. Personally, Kai, when a Kai gets to be online and he gets to run around, because Octavia didn't get to pop off as much as I thought and as much as Odie thought, with how much, with the speed traits really being exaggerated from the Divergent base stats changes, I really thought Octavia would really be the winner out of it. But nah, Kai has just always stood strong, and well, it's hard to deal with him on a good higher level, considering he can do a little bit of everything. He can safely poke with his barrages, he can get a Digit Blast and just basically throw wrench into any 50-50 or find kills even without any awakenings, and Poison Pace is just simple standard movement ability. It's hard to effectively deal with it sometimes, and well, with the big three always existing, and you know, and like with just his ability to flex around safely on most of the draft, it can be a little hard to deal with him sometimes, just on the regular, but Kai has always been able to just legitimately juke out so much more in the higher level, I feel. And so, being able to take a hit to his stature, his biggest weak point to where he can't duel as much on the forward position, because already Kai goalie has a clear weakness. He has a Digit Blast to keep you off of him, but otherwise he has to burn evades, and he can't say Celestial Intervention, Astral Projection in your face, he can't roll out, he can't do Fortress on you and just say, get off of me. But doing this to hit his forward status, I think is real good. It's like, Kai Goalie was already well defined, don't affect his cooldowns. Kai forward got to run around enough without really being punished for taking like one straight hit or so. I think this is fine to make him more of a glassier cannon like I already did with Octavia. And speaking of her, Flow State huge buff, 1 second off. Well, trying to find a way for it to get back in, fair enough. Rune getting a little bit more speed. A little slight bit of speed, I think this is fine. I don't necessarily think he needed it, but I've talking to a few of my friends, Rune alternates between being oppressive as crap, if just you know, because people don't want to deal with them, or rather don't want to learn how to deal with them, or he's relegated to just you have to middling midfield status where you have to play mind games to win your 50-50s with your anomalies, and it's hard to tournament finish unless you already are syncing up with your striker or with your forward partner. So, do I think he needed it? Not really. Do I like it though? I'll play Rune a lot more, so I do. Map rotation. Demon Dice out, Oni Village out. I will sacrifice Demon Dice for Oni Village any day to get out. I hate Oni Village, get that crap out of here. So much. Please, I hate Oni Village. So, sad to see the loss of Demon Dice, but it has been so brawl. It is a brawl heavy map. It's fair enough, considering we already have Tycho to really have that in. Rotate in. Atlas is Lab. Welcome back, Atlas. You were out for like one patch. And Atten City. Ooh, we are finally getting Atten back after all this time. Awakenings. Well, that's probably because we're getting Orbs back, right? Knife Set's demo Timeless out. Ooh. That's the first time we're getting Timeless out, actually, ever. Interesting. So, thinking about creation traits then. Now we have Monu. We have... Let's start, yeah. So, Timeless Trait is out, so it's Monumentalist, Cast to Last, Siege Machine. That's really it, right? Well, I'm recording this pretty early in the morning, so my memory might be a little fuzzy, but that's interesting to see Timeless Trait are out, honestly. Demolitionist is one size trade out, so as much as I keep harping about size meta with 5 awakenings, that's one out now, so going down to 4. Interesting. Knives Edge out. Can see it. I mean, it had its time, but it's not that it was really doing anything necessarily too oppressive. But I feel like it served its purpose well for the strategies that used it. Rotated in. Orbs of Bat, baby. I know you love it. We brought back and adjusted the Orb Dancer and Ponderer traits. We wanted to flatten their strength curves compared to previous iterations, perform better than average, but over top it. We're also keeping Replicator out to prevent Snowbone with these changes. No, Exodia! Darn it. Well, we still got 2 out of 3, so I'm happy with that. So, Dancer and Ponderer are back. And Catalyst! Ooh! This patch is so many W's for me. Catalyst coming back, another one of my favorite traits. Because if Stinger is my favorite awakening of all time, Catalyst is number 2, right behind that. And then probably Ponder right next, but getting back to it. Aerials, going back to 75, okay, no big deal. Hotshot, getting its core amp back, okay, so that's reversions. Might, that's interesting that they really are indexing out of size scaling, considering how Colossus also gets hit for its power scaling. Wow, I'm not going to complain about that. Okay, Orb Dancer. For those of you that haven't played since Season 2 or so, because Orb traits have been literally gone since the beginning of Season 2, I feel, if I remember. Orb traits are exactly, when you collect an orb, you get an additional benefit. And when you reach max stats, that benefit is exaggerated. And it lasts until your death. Not the end of a set, not until... not the... I don't remember if it resets on set, but it resets on KO, on your KO. So it incentivizes you staying alive, getting orbs not just for health, but for benefit. So, Orb Dancer, whenever you collected an orb, you get a speed increase. It was now, or it's like, yeah, 40% to 30% now. It would take 10 orbs to get to 80 to 60. So you can see, it almost competed with the Adrenaline Rush back in the day. But but seeing it, max stats down from 10 to 5, and duration 6 to 4.5. Ooh. I think this is really good. Let me read Ponderer too. Whenever you collect an orb, you'd get 25% reduced cooldowns on all your abilities. That's down to 15. Cooldown reduction at max stats goes from 45% to 30, and then max stats 10 to 5. People didn't used to respect orbs back on Season 1, 2 days, of course. People are getting a lot better about it now in Season 3 onwards. But with Atten and Orb Exodia in the rotation, because Orb Replicator gave 50% of the benefits that you collected from orbs, that could be the health and the energy, to your teammates, and that could scale exponentially if you had any of the other orb traits, as they'd also get the Ponderer and Dancer passives out of that. People didn't respect it as much, or go out of their way to collect/deny orbs, and because of that, if you had like a map like Atten City, to where there's 6 orbs on rotation, if people weren't working, or if you were free at the midfield or the goal line to collect 3 or 4, the fact that you could basically hold a speed boost at all times was really stupid. And getting to max stats was a big win condition that basically you had to shut down. It was really just like, I remember old days of Orb Dancer versus stats on stats really being a big point of contention. But I do like their reasoning with toning down how much, like how many stats it takes to get to maximum, so 10 to 5, means that your power scaling isn't as exponential as it initially was, and it provides a lot faster of a tempo gain when it comes to you need to constantly keep an eye out on how much stats somebody has, because even though the benefit isn't as high, being able to go from, you know, from what is 40 to 80% speed is really stupid. Being able to basically almost have your cooldowns completely at any time was really stupid. Yeah, imagine having to deal with a supernova using your last evade, Vice picks up an orb, and then you have to deal with another supernova. Having the high end of this taken out is really, really good in my opinion, and as much as I do love the orb traits, this is a healthy change, because once you have to max stats, it was quite literally, can you kill the enemy? It's like, can the enemy kill you, or not? And if they couldn't, then, well, everything just blows out of the water, and, well, you're never going to have a problem ever again. So, very fair, and I do like them coming back. Reptile Remedy, heal, changed to 5% overall, and the duration is longer, over 4 seconds. So, a bigger heal, but it slowly perks up a little bit more. So in case anybody hits you, So the healing is not going to keep you alive if you're staggered as much. You actually have to let it tick a little bit more. Fair enough, considering how you have to remember. With Stagger Swagger out, Reptile Remedy / Unstoppable are your best defensive traits if you're not building Stagger City. So, fair enough to make that, like, to push its agenda more if you have to keep constantly interacting with the core and you're incentivized to keep your Stagger high rather than trying to distract the core when your Stagger is low to keep yourself alive. You want to just keep brawling back and forth to make sure you never get to that point. Stats on stats. We're trying something new on our pancakes, so they take a little longer, but... but also putting the bigger target in your badge. Mat stats goes to 150 instead of 100. Speed... First... Okay, I'm just doing a lot of math, but you're seeing it right there. Your mat speed goes from 10 to 20% to 12 to 24%, basically. I just talked about how the orb traits were a clear definition of lowering the high-end power spiking and scaling for what you can get out of enemies, or what you have to deal with, because if you have to deal with somebody at 10 stats of old Orb Ponderer Wanderer, even with Replicator on hand, it felt so you felt so shut out. But the thing is, there was counterplay to it. Whenever you're going for the orb, if the core is not lined up on it, you're giving up your position to greed for this extra cooldown or this extra speed. You're possibly leaving your dolly in a 1v2 or your other forward in a 1v2, etc. stuff forth so. And even then, this was something that you could clearly play around at all times. That's like enemies could clearly play around at all times. A Thunderstruck could be placed when the orb's spawning, so you're incentivized to evade to still get your orb, or you'll take the hit and Vice the Teleport steal the orb from you. It's a mind game and a mini game in of Omega Strikers itself. You could be knocked away from an Etz or a Julie dash punching you, or an Asher, like I said before. A creation should just be put on top of it so you can't get it. There's a lot of ways that most strikers could deal with stealing an orb from you or knocking you away from the orb spawn point so you can't get it. With speed, however, if you have enough speed and your reflexes are good enough, you could legitimately juke so much, or just say, I'm running, or take, oh no, I'm staggered. Let me just run out of your effective range, and quite literally, you cannot chase me because you don't have the speed for it. I don't like this change. Because Stats on Stats has already been one of the most oppressive traits. Turn out how my Wi-Fi is being oppressive, it's not letting me connect to my VTube model. But, when Stats on Stats gets online, it's really stupid. The fact that they're making this, after I just talked about the orb barrier to entry for skill, and how oppressive it can be at mat stats was lowered, and I like that, immediately is counterbalanced by this. I don't like it, because, once again, size isn't one thing to be locked out, but it is a trade-off. Bigger size means bigger hitboxes for your abilities, but you have a bigger hitbox yourself to be zoned out from creations, or just from getting hit if you don't have the stagger to back it up. The fact that speed lets you just deny most interactions on virtue of, I pick and choose my battles, and guess what? I only choose my winning ones. You never get a chance to interact with me otherwise, be it by me running away, or by the fact that I'm so fast, you can't brawl back and forth with me. I don't like this. I really don't. And if Stats on Stats already isn't a high priority trait by the end of this, I don't know. I think this is one of the few L changes this patch. Stinger being nerfed even more. Fair. Very fair. I love this trait, but my goodness gracious, the fact that this is one of the few traits to already be on par with, to basically do double of what a gear does. Because siphoning is 5% burn over time. Stinger used to be, remember, it used to be 20% basically. Now it got toned down to 9, and now just 7.5. And even then, they didn't put a distinction between light hits back when Stinger was first out in Season 1. So, very, very good change. As much as I love the trait, and as much as I hate to see it nerfed, it very much so needed it, because with all the brawling, bruising going around, being able to just poach somebody and just say, haha, guess what? I already did 20% of your health in basically this one move. you could easily attrition people out without even trying, without even looking at that. And then Team Player getting buffed a little bit more. Fair enough. I feel like with the size it was self-rotating a little bit, and it wasn't seen as high priority, so I do not find fault with this. Alright. And one last thing here. With the patch notes stuff out of the way, I want to drop in and say for a second that reminder on what's going on. A couple of us are working on small quality of life stuff for Omega Strikers. We want to bring new seasons, recolors, battle pass, and community made things. Next patch, we're just gonna have some bug fixes and a couple smaller things, but thank you for sticking with Omega Strikers. We hope you continue to do so in the future, and we'll see you soon. Very, very sweet. Very sweet. Well, that's just a nice assurance with Odie saying, thank you for supporting the community, and we are still with you as much as we can. Even if they did, you know, already say end of service, or rather end of main update service, that long time ago, the fact that they are still saying, hey, we have a small contingent of our team committed over, and we still want to provide for the community, that is real nice to hear. Well, before my internet breaks on me, considering my VTube model hasn't really been nice, thank you for joining me for this patch rundown. Overall, I personally love this patch. Only with the stats on stats change being the bad thing, everything else is a pretty rousing success in terms of map rotations or their reasoning for their awakenings, so I'm pretty happy about it. So, for now, wherever you are, wherever you may be, whether you're on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, or more, it's been your Wonderful Wind Mage, your Cruz Ship Servant, Chartreuse Proxy, ever and always at your service, and I'll see you in Athens City another day.